and welcome to TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African network. I am Uchenna Oka, and this is Africa Now. We begin with politics. Niger's Interior Minister Alkache Al-Hada told reporters on Thursday that lives were lost and hundreds arrested in the unrest that arose in the country. The violence came about after the announcement of the presidential election results, even alleging that Hama Amadou was responsible for the electoral chaos. Al-Hada told the press that the demonstrations that were held there was a toll. Unfortunately, there were 2 deaths. There were also damage and destruction of public and private infrastructure. Mausa Kaka, a journalist's house, was burnt. He added that there are 468 arrests, including certain politicians, and the main persons responsible, opposition figure Hama Amadou, is being sought. Libya's designated Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Dbeibeh, chosen via a UN-facilitated process last month, said on Thursday he had proposed a governing plan to the country's divided parliament as a part of a peace process. He told a news conference in Tripoli that he had attempted a fair distribution of posts between the west, east and south of the country. However, he did not announce any names for cabinet roles after a process of intense negotiations over recent weeks to form a government that could win acceptance across front lines. The new interim government is intended to replace Libya's 2 rival administrations and oversee the run-up to national elections planned for December in a roadmap to end years of chronic chaos and violence. Still on politics, Somali opposition presidential candidates have agreed to postpone anti-government protests that were scheduled for Friday in the capital, Mogadishu. This follows a meeting with Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble on Thursday, where the federal government apologized for last week's crackdown on protesters. The postponed demonstration would take place within 10 days, according to a statement. The government guaranteed to uphold the right of citizens to organize and participate in peaceful demonstrations. The leaders in the meeting also agreed to continue with talks to unlock a stalemate on how to proceed with elections. The UN mission in Somalia has welcomed Thursday's agreement between the government and the opposition. Away from politics to COVID-19 developments, the African Union is backing calls for drug makers to waive some intellectual property rights on COVID-19 medicines and vaccines to speed up their rollout to poor countries. The head of its disease control body announced this on Thursday. South Africa and India, which both manufacture drugs and vaccines, made the proposal at the World Trade Organization last year, arguing that intellectual property rules were hindering the urgent scale-up of vaccine production and provision of medical products to some patients. They have faced opposition from some developed nations, but the backing of the African Union may give renewed impetus for the push to relax IP rules. John Nkengasong, director of the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, told a news conference that IP transfer was a win-win for everybody that would address the huge inequalities in global public health. Nkengasong added that the Africa CDC's regulatory task force had approved 2 versions of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine for emergency use. He also said the developers of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine had submitted a full dossier of data to the Africa CDC, and that in the coming days an expert panel will review the data and make a pronouncement. This is your digital first Pan-African network, TOS TV network. You are watching Africa Now. More stories from the African continent after the break. To stay with us. Welcome back to TOS TV Network. U.S. President Joe Biden has discussed the crisis in Ethiopia's Tigray region with Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta in a phone call on Thursday, the White House said. The two leaders discussed the deteriorating humanitarian and human rights crisis in Tigray, according to the readout of the call. They also spoke on the need to prevent further loss of life and ensure humanitarian access. Tigray has been hit by conflict since November between Ethiopian-led troops and forces allied with the region's ousted ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front. Thousands of people are reported to have been killed and about 2 million have been internally displaced. The White House said that President Biden emphasized the U.S.'s commitment to working with Kenya to support regional peace and security. The United States State Department said on Thursday that it has engaged with the government of Rwanda at the highest levels in the case of Paul Rusesabagina, the hotelier depicted as a hero in a Hollywood film about Rwanda's 1994 genocide, who was charged with terrorism-related offenses in a Kigali court. The State Department has engaged the government of Rwanda at the highest levels, both here in Washington as well as in Kigali, and it is something we will continue to do, State Department spokesman Ned Price said. Away from the East African region, the provincial head of agriculture in South Africa says the country's Western Cape region has reported its first cases of African swine fever at 2 small farms after outbreaks in other parts of the country. Ivan Meyer. Recent outbreaks have also been reported in the Free State, Eastern Cape and Gauteng provinces, according to agricultural authorities. The Western Cape's agriculture minister, Ivan Meyer, in a statement on Thursday said a survey to determine the extent of the disease's spread in Mfuleni and the immediate surrounding area has already been initiated and will include the collection of blood samples from selected sick pigs from suspect farms. African swine fever is incurable in pigs and poses a threat to food stocks, but it is harmless to humans. This is your Digital First Pan-African Network, TOS TV network. You are watching Africa Now. Still ahead, business and sports. Thanks for staying with us. On Business Reports, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has called on private sector corporates to help the government in growing and developing small, medium and micro enterprises, SMMEs, through capital support, skills development and access to markets. Ramaphosa was addressing entrepreneurs and cooperatives during an SMME-focused webinar hosted by the Department of Small Business Development. Ramaphosa encouraged SMMEs to take advantage of the Africa Free Trade Agreement to access new markets on the continent. One of the key elements of the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan is localization, and we expect SMMEs and cooperatives to play a central role in driving localization. Some work has already been done by this department to introduce SMMEs and cooperatives to wholesalers and retailers. We really need our corporate to come on board for us to build strong local capabilities, he said. Government has also approved payment worth 530 million rand through the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, SEFA, to assist small businesses whose finances have been negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And in sports, South Africa's two-time Olympic champion, Caster Semenya, has filed a lawsuit in the European Court of Human Rights that challenges restrictions of testosterone in female athletes. In 2019, World Athletics banned Semenya and other female athletes with differences of sexual development from races between 400 meters and 1.6 kilometers unless they take hormone-suppressing drugs. Semenya unsuccessfully challenged those rules at the Court of Arbitration for Sport and the Swiss Federal Supreme Court. Her lawyer said there has been a violation of her rights and wants the Human Rights Court to examine the rules. All we ask is to be allowed to run free, for once and for all, as the strong and fearless women we are and have always been. Semenya is quoted as saying in the statement, "No dates have been set yet for the hearing of the case." And that is Africa Now on your Digital First Pan-African Network News, TOS TV. For more updates, do visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. To also follow and like TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS TV Network. I am Uchenna Oka. Bye for now.